Thanks to Desi Freeman, fringe movements like sovereign citizens or sov-cits or whatever you want to call them are in the media at the moment. And on social media, in places like TikTok, you'll find a bunch of people claiming that Desi was a genuine hero and that they are the enlightened few who can see through the system or the matrix or something along those lines. And when it comes to these groups, I would argue that the saying that the hardest part of leaving a cult is realizing you were in a cult in the first place often applies, possibly more so here than some other situations. And I say that from personal experience because for me personally, while I do not consider myself a cult victim in the traditional sense, whatever that means, and well, I guess it means if you were to join a commune or be a member of a high controlled mega church, that sort of cliche, then I definitely haven't been a cult victim survivor in that sense. But I have absolutely been involved in fringe movements. A little bit of sovereign citizenship stuff, but probably a little bit more aligned with QAnon and other online alternative spaces. And while these sorts of spaces and communities don't necessarily fit the narrative of a traditional or stereotypical cult, they absolutely still have a lot of the same coercive control features. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Renee. I'm a mental health practitioner who has lived experience of coercive control and cultic abuse. And if I was to be totally honest, I'm actually too embarrassed to admit some of what I was sucked into believing with some of my past involvements with conspiracy type fringe groups. And so because I'm a bit embarrassed, my instinct is actually to downplay just how far down the rabbit hole I went. Because yeah, I did go a little bit further than just buying some Vietnamese dong in the preparation for the so-called spectacular global reset that the white hats who are secretly trying to overcome the cabal are supposedly planning. Sure, it was only a few months of my life and maybe one Ponzi scheme where I got scammed a bit of money. Moving on, all of this added up to being less than a year of indoctrination. And this is where talking about these things does get messy because often there is not a clear entrance and exit point to these fringe groups like there are in other more, I guess, obvious cults which have markers like a charismatic leader or overt isolation tactics. But when I apply the 12 features of coercive control that I differentiate on a scale of 0 being healthy and 3 being the most harmful presentation of each criteria, the judgments that I make on groups that fall into this sort of fringe category definitely still apply. And it may surprise some people to see just how high on the coercive control groups like sovereign citizenship and QAnon can actually rank. So to try to understand this even better for myself and break it down a little bit more, I've put together a kind of wonky three-way Venn diagram, because I like Venn diagrams, that compares coercive control in interpersonal relationships, cults or high control groups, and fringe movements or decentralized groups. There's quite a bit to sort of say about all of this in terms of exploring the similarities and the differences. So my intention is to make a few videos that sort of break down some of the issues and overlaps.